Oh, brothers and sisters, this is a call to action. This is not about me. This is about we. It's not about us. It's about them. It is about us standing united for the future of Washington State. And this is coming from my heart and hoping I can touch your heart. This is not about politics. It's time to put people over political parties. It's time to stand for America. It's time to stand united for Washington. I'm feeling this. I am feeling this. Everything I have ever said since running for this office, my policies, and we'll talk about a few of those today. And then I'll go to questions and answers for you, because I'm really here to hear from you. But this should not be political. Safer streets, better schools, lower taxes. Washington is becoming unaffordable to live in. That's common sense. That's not political. None of this is political. This is time for us to come together and say, we need solutions with actions. We don't need any more career politicians who think they know better than we do. When this nation was formed, it was a nation formed that gave power to the people. Back in my day, we used to say power to the people. Is it not time to bring that back again? Power to the people? Wouldn't that freak some people out, huh? Right now, it's like, oh, Semi Bird. What's he doing now? Oh, don't get me started. This is about a revolution. 1776. This is our 1776 moment. They had the intestinal courage and the person. What? They had the bravery and the courage to take a stand against the most powerful nation. The most powerful nation on the planet. That monarchy. And they said, enough is enough. We demand our independence. We demand our freedom. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. And we will stand united. Even though it was 3% of the population, they did it. And they were told, you cannot win. They are the only ones who can win. Does that sound familiar? They can win. They have all the money. Does that sound familiar? Look at that flag. It doesn't look anything like a British Union Jack to me. Don't tell me what can be done and what can't be done. You remember how I was raised and what I've done with my life. My friends, again, when you were raised on a thing and when you believed in a thing and you've seen a thing happen over and over again from the birth of a nation or from my childhood and my accomplishments as a grown man, I cannot be bought. I cannot be sold. I cannot be threatened or intimidated. I don't serve according to the flesh of man. I serve something much higher, much greater. And my belief is too strong to be compromised. Oh no, it is time for a revival of faith and a revival of patriotism. Right now, right here, we the people united. I am all over the place in what I'm talking about, but I hope you feel me. I hope you hear what I'm saying. We the people. There is nothing we cannot achieve if we stand united and we believe this is our time. Courage is what it takes to say, this is not about party, this is about people. Courage is what it'll take when you say it is not about money, it is about effort. It's about us telling everyone we know. We believe in this movement. We believe in these solutions. We know what is right for Washington, what is right for Seattle, what is right for our community, and what is right for our children. We know. And Booker T. Washington says something like, a lie doesn't become truth, wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because certain people or a majority tell us so. No, we know better. We know better. And we have come a long way as a nation, and we've come a long way. But I'm afraid we are starting to go backwards. I'm seeing the segregation of a nation. I'm seeing the segregation of our society when we start to divide. And Abraham Lincoln said it, a house divided cannot stand, but that came out of the book of Matthew. A kingdom divided. Oh, we all get it from somewhere. At least you read the right book. And so we know this to be true. But are we courageous enough to recognize that we must unite? We must set our biases aside and put something much greater before us. And so let's get to some discussion of the obvious. When you see that Washington State is in a state of lawlessness, that under our Attorney General, and I have no ill will towards the man or the person, and I will never get in the mud and call names and attack a person ever, go after character or go after a family. That is below me, and I was raised better. So that's not how I roll. I talk about issues, and statistically, we can do better, we must do better, but when rape is up 51%, murder is up 95%, property crime is up 73%. We are number 1 in the nation for retail theft. We are number 3 in the nation for auto theft. We are number 7 or 8 in the nation for the most dangerous place to live in the nation. And you wonder why our insurance costs are skyrocketing. That is unacceptable. And it must not be acceptable by we, the people who are most affected by this mismanagement of justice. And we can talk about the fact that our young people are being sucked into this madness and being used and abused by crime syndicates to get out there and commit crimes, because youth crime is at an all-time high. So much so that the Department of Children, Youth, and Family Services, and who put them in charge of correctional facilities, but yet here they are. And for years they've been busting at the seams, overpopulated in these children's correctional facilities. You hear what I said? Overpopulated. You would think that that would be a signal that we have a problem. Our young people are filling correctional facilities. But yet, just 2 weeks ago, they announced, no, we cannot take any more. As if youth crime was going to stop, that they were going to stop committing crimes. And that telling us all of a sudden overnight, we cannot accept anymore, when they've been overpopulated for years, that would somehow do what? It fixes nothing. And now at the city and county level, what do you think is happening? They are busting at the seams. We are not getting to the root of what's happening with our young people. So should we not be talking about going into at-risk communities and bringing programs to those communities? Or maybe even this concept of trying to keep families together. Are we afraid to talk about that? Are we afraid to talk about the morality of our society? I'm not. I'm not. Are we afraid to talk about a welfare system that pays people enough money to be poor for the rest of their lives? Or the subjugation of the most at-risk or marginalized of our society? For what reasons? Instead of bringing programs, hope, or do we relegate them to hopelessness? I'm about lifting people up out of poverty and despair to say that we, taxpayers, will not fund programs that subjugates, marginalizes, and pays people enough money to stay poor and creates generational poverty. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. We need to bring programs, certification programs, trade programs. We lift people up. And when we do that, we all benefit. Think about this for a minute. For a minute. We put more people to work. That pride of work, that pride of entrepreneurship, of ownership. I can go on and on and on, but we are breaking that cycle now. Are we courageous enough to do that? We the people. I know I am, and I know I will. Will you stand with me? That's it. Are we courageous enough to do that? We must be. We must be. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm feeling it, and I hope you're feeling it. I hope you're feeling it. Oh, prison reform. I'm tired of releasing people back into the same environment that got them into that environment, and then there's a revolving door. Or prosecutors and judges that create that revolving door of justice. Bring accountability. 100%. We must. enforce the laws and the books, we must. But this is a complete and comprehensive program that we must bring to bear. And I've written on it. Homelessness is out of control. We built an industrial complex around homelessness. Billions of dollars spent. And yet homelessness goes up 23%. Are we ready to accept and acknowledge that it's not working, whatever they have been doing? Yeah. And we're not going to fund it anymore. The problem and the root cause is addiction and mental illness. Can we acknowledge that, please? That you can put a house over anyone's head, but when they are shooting up a drug that relegates them to a darkness of addiction, that no matter what kind of house they have, they are still addicted. Yeah. And they will still go out and do whatever they need to do to get that high. And I lost my nephew almost 2 years ago to fentanyl poisoning. I will not have that for anybody else's child, nephew, daughter. No, we're not stepping over any more bodies. We will bring forth the solution, and I've written on that as well. We will utilize our resources that we already have at a third of the cost. I will utilize the National Guard, engineers and construction crews to clear 20 acres of state land, and we will build an inpatient rehabilitation, drug treatment, and mental health counseling center 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summertime. You heard the commercials. We have a budget for it. We have mental health professionals, drug treatment professionals, doctors, dentists, nutritionists, all with military skill specialties. Why not utilize them that were already, you see what I'm saying? Why has no one come up with that? A third of the cost. Not rocket science. Strategy. Strategy. We need to have a solution to the problems that our state is facing instead of throwing money, good money after bad money. I can get going. Our education system, it's broken. Only 50.9% of all students make grade level standards. In English language arts, only 37.9% make grade level standards in mathematics. Only 41.9% meet grade level standards in science, but we graduate them at an 83%. And as Matt alluded to, at a cost of $18,698. Come on now. I'm allergic to math, but I can figure that out. We're not getting the return on investment right there. And so we need to give teachers back their classrooms. But the way we do that is focus on the classrooms. We fund that epicenter of academic excellence. Understand, like myself, all children learn differently. How is it that I was getting D's and F's in grade school through high school, but yet I can go out and throughout my college career, I never got below a 3.50, ever? How is that possible? Because I needed more time. I learned differently. So we need to understand how that child learns. Meet that child where that child is. We don't lower the standard. We raise that child up to the standard. Because it does not matter what that child looks like or how much money that child's parents have in their bank account. That child is capable of academic excellence. We need to find the pathway that is unique to that child and bring the tools and resources to that teacher to give that child what that child needs. Help that child up to that standard and bring the parents, grandparents, and guardians into the picture so that they have ownership, participation, and they're vested. God did not make Asian children smarter than any other children on the planet, but culturally, Asian students excel academically because they are vested in their children's education. That's not me being racist. That's me being empirically, statistically factual. You know it's true. The concept works. Let's do it. There are solutions out there. Let's fund that. Does that make sense? Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm not talking about shutting down public schools. Do I support homeschooling? 100%. And bringing funds to those homeschooling families without strings attached. Without strings attached. One more time, without strings attached. Because people always say, there's always strings attached. No, there won't be. That's an option for you if that's what you want to pursue. You want a school choice? I think school choice is a good option. That gives poor families the same option that rich families have to put their children where they feel is best for their children. But we're not going to give up on our public education system, because if you look at it, even in rural communities, they don't have private schools there. We can never give up on our public education system. There's some fixes that need to happen. So let's bring the fixes to our public education system. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I can go on, but I'm going to wrap it up, because I've said so much. And I went on an emotional tirade with you for a minute. But I'm going to, a few more items just for resume, to check a few boxes, and we're going to go into questions and answers. My friends, after 16 years of being out of the military, I came back in. And after 9/11, I volunteered to become an Army Special Forces Green Beret. And at age 43, I was given my Green Beret, and I went to combat. Today at a car show this morning, I met a brother that I went to language school to learn Mandarin Chinese. My first language, my first foreign language. My second is Spanish. But when I learned Mandarin Chinese, and here he was at a car show. He's a sergeant major now in Special Forces still. And my campaign manager was there. And he had nothing but good things to say about Mr. Byrd. Just for the record. Just for the record. The real Green Berets have good things to say. Just saying. And so I came back in and went to combat. And I left combat after going into Special Forces intelligence, working at embassies in the intelligence community, top secret SCI clearance. And I took a job with the Department of Energy, and I went in the Washington Army National Guard, and I worked with Special Operations Detachment Pacific here in the Washington Army National Guard, and deployed. But I took a job with the United States Department of Energy, and I worked my way up as a federal employee from a GS nothing to a GS 14 out of 15. Not bad. Became a federal director. Organizational development. That's organizational performance, improvement. And then I became a director of training and leadership development. Not bad. Understanding different theories and concepts and helping other federal leaders become better federal leaders. Do you think we can use better organizational development in our state? That we can use better leaders in state offices? That's what I'm trying to say. Do we have the resume? This is my military experience as a Special Forces engineer before I went into intelligence to understand all state infrastructure like nuclear power. We have that here. Richland, Tri-Cities, Energy Northwest. Understanding that. Our dams, hydroelectricity, and electrical transfer, our system, our networks, I understand that. Our ports, I understand that. Construction, civil engineering. Because I was trained and I was taught. Different cultures. I worked the Asia Pacific. Again, having a resume for a job, does it matter? Having oversight and leadership of the Acquisition Career Management Program, which means acquisitions, contract, and procurement. The state does billions of dollars every year in contracts. Does it matter that the governor has been trained by the federal government as a contracting officer representative to understand contracts? I think it matters. Resume matters. My point is, we have to stop electing career politicians with no experience to serve in the position to bring the change we want to bring. And while serving with the United States Department of Energy, I was a credentialed federal officer with the National Nuclear Security Administration. So if we want to talk about law enforcement, I know it at a strategic level. I know the protocols of the Washington State law enforcement system. And if anybody's a law enforcement officer here, we're going to go into questions and answers. Ask any question you want to ask. I'm ready to roll. Oh, no, I have the resume to do the job. So don't feel that you have to just go, well, this person knows this. I will assert to you that we need someone who knows this, 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 and this, at least as a baseline, and then bring in people who have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to fill the gaps. I will surround myself with professionals from the outside who are subject matter experts, not more career politicians. So that's the change that we're going to bring to Washington State. And if you're willing to stand with me, my brothers and sisters, we are going to give Olympia the bird. Thank you. I had to say it. Okay. And that was in a very PG Christian way. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, questions and answers. If you have a question, just throw your hand up. I'm not going to say wave around like you just don't care, because that's just how I am. Yes, sir. Can you come up, sir, so I can just a little bit closer and I'll repeat it? Yeah, so am I planning on investigating the homeless industry and so on day one?
Still operate today. They have access to your public officials in City Hall in Olympia. They were never put in jail. They still operate today. I had to be driven to Saunders' office.
I got you, brother. I'm going to shorten up just so I can get through other questions, but I want to answer your question. And so on day one of my administration, and I've said this publicly and I said this in writing in my solution economic development plan, I'm calling for a third-party audit of all state programs, all state offices on day one. And that includes those contracts to these nonprofit agencies who have been in charge of the homeless programs. And that's not just the nonprofit, but the government aspect of the nonprofit agencies. And so everybody understands it will be what it is. I don't do things to penalize, to go after, to target. I don't play that stuff. It will be what it will be. But let me just say, there are billions of dollars that are out there. We just learned through the most recent audit, $1.17 billion was discovered that was inappropriately, mishandled. And then you just learned that Attorney General Ferguson and Washington State University have been sued for inappropriate contracting, $43 million. So those are just a couple cases. There's a lot more happening. And yes, I will be having a discussion with Sheriff Songer on Monday, which is tomorrow. I just need to give him a call tomorrow.
We discovered in the case are the same mechanics they're using to siphon the $1.7 billion from $43 million.
Yeah, I'm going to call Bob tomorrow, and I'll get to the bottom of it. I do appreciate that from you, though. Thank you very much, sir. So, again, that's an example. I mean, I'll pull the string. We'll make the calls, and we're going to conduct the audit. There's billions of dollars out there. Again, I don't bring shade. I don't go after people. This is bringing accountability, and not to target, but you need to know where the money's going. You need to know how it's being spent, and we need to know how programs are functioning. Do they need to be calibrated? Do they need to be replaced? Are we getting the return on investment? We're being taxed on everything. We have tolls everywhere. I mean, if you're cool with that, I'm not, and I'm not leaving my state. I could have ran, but I decided to run before I ran. So I'm being silly because I'm silly, but you get what I'm saying. We have to take a stand, but we can't keep going on. I got to find out where the money's going. We got a gas tax, a liquor tax, a marijuana tax, a gambling tax. I mean, we have all kinds of taxes and tolls. So where's all the money going? Because in other states, they have marijuana taxes too. And they know where the money's going. I can go on. So questions? Yes, sir. Any what checks? Oh, yeah. So no, I'm not doing that. So we'll talk about energy because I know a couple things about it. Nuclear energy will be my answer. That'll give Washington State energy independence, small portable nuclear energy. That is one of the things, and I have to say this, and I don't mind saying this. That is something I believe that even Governor Inslee agreed to. And I don't mind saying that. I mean, something on the inside of me says, don't do it. But no, we should say good things about someone, even though you agree vehemently in how they've administered the state. It isn't, why would we not say he supports it now, as I last understand it? And I support it. So we are aligned on that. We must bring small modular portable nuclear energy to Washington State. But let me also say this, something that they're not talking about. We don't have the electrical grid infrastructure to support the energy that we have right now. Yeah. My friends, if you received a text message from Puget Sound Energy saying, ease up on your electrical usage, it's because it was putting a strain on our system. We were having our own version of brownouts. We need to rebuild our substations and our transmission system. I know that, again, from that training I alluded to earlier. So I will initiate that immediately, partnering with the utility companies. So it's not taxpayer dollars. It'll be a combination of grants from the federal government, but also investment from private corporations and tax incentives to minimize the cost to us. But with the audit, it's just transferring money from waste to use. Or I could say fraud, waste, and abuse to positive use. That was a little sarcastic. Can't take that back. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So nuclear energy, and it's already happening, by the way. Energy Northwest is also leading that in Richland, Washington. I just had a conversation the other day. So we're on the right track. We're going to keep that going. And this whole idea where you continue to sue, and if you get lucky and you're successful, you use that money and send out checks to people who don't even need the money, and then you blame it on Experian, saying, oh, they shouldn't have got the money, but that was Experian that sent it to wealthy people. It was supposed to go to poor people, but during an election cycle, what a coincidence. That's just wrong. We have to have a different form of government where we're not utilizing our offices and position for politics and partisanship. The governor position in every executive position is a position of servant leadership, selfless service to the citizens of Washington. We work for you. I'm up here applying for a job. You're my interview panel. How am I doing so far? Thank you. I'm trying, but it's true. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I'd like to know what you've done as county chair to develop the precinct structure and attract volunteers, attract those that might fill the PCO position.
Excellent. So the gentleman speaking as myself serving as a chairman of a political party in my own county. And so in every county you have what we call precinct positions. For those who may not know the structure, it's like neighborhoods. Every neighborhood has an elected position called a precinct committee officer. I am a precinct committee officer also, and my wife is going to be replacing me. Keeping it in the family, I guess, family business. And so what we're doing is we're going out and we're intentionally recruiting. So at events, we have sign-up lists. And I appoint in between elections. And so the chairman has the authority to appoint precinct committee officers if someone wants to volunteer to serve as a representative in their community, to get politically active in their communities. So we're recruiting. We're not waiting for them to come to us. We're actually recruiting them at park events and fair events. We have sign-up lists. We're also, as we canvass the neighborhoods, we're not waiting to canvass neighborhoods for political elections. We're canvassing neighborhoods with cards that talk about our mission. And our mission that I helped write says that I became a Republican because of our mission: ending slavery, abolition, women's rights, civil rights. That's why I became a Republican. And I believe that our party lost its way. And I went back and forth as an adult, as an elder adult. Do I get out or do I try to reform? So I will tell you all now as I stand here, I'm a Reconstruction Republican. I am a Reconstruction Republican. Please look it up. I'm old school. I want us to get back to what we were and what we stood for. People, humanity, human decency, fiscal responsibility, doing the right thing. And if it gets to a point where we say, let's get rid of all political parties, I'm down with that too. Because that was President George Washington that said that in his farewell address. But I digress from your question. I hope I answered your question. You have a strategic plan to staff PCO positions, and I gave you some examples of how we're doing that in Benton County. So,
How many precincts and how many PCOs, what percent of precincts have a PCO?
oh gosh, we have a long way to go. So that is more devil in the detail, and we're in King County, and King County folks don't really give a darn about what's happening in Benton County. But if you're sincere, you and I can have a discussion offline. I'll share our entire strategy with you. You can come out and visit. I'll put you in charge with our committee chair who's working on that, and you guys can link and sync, work together. We'll share intel. So I'm happy to help out. But for the greater good, no, that's going down in the weeds of it's no value. to the greater good of the people who are here. So there's that. Unless this is a stump the chump moment, and I'll just give you the win. So I don't think that's what it's about. Yes, sir. So the Federal Reserve, so that is just, could you come a little closer and what now? So I don't know about the Star Trek energy, but I can speak a little to the Federal Reserve. So yeah, no, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. And again, hook a brother up with knowledge. I'm always open to listen to anything. So I will say on energy. So nuclear is our most viable right now. And by the way, the state determined through nonsense, and that's the only way I can put it. They said that hydroelectricity was not, well, renewable energy. Well, it is. It's carbon free. And so that needs to be undone. And that is science that could, I mean, come on now. So we need to get that acknowledged. And they only did that for the, to support their laws that they put forward. So we're going to acknowledge that it is. But fusion energy, that is something that's happening right now in Chelan County. And so that's, again, privatized money. So, again, not state money funding this, but fusion energy is happening right now with a private enterprise. Contracts have already been written. It's happening in Chelan County. I'm tracking that as well. And I've had conversations on that. So the reason I'm doing this stuff is because when I bring forth the solution, I talk to the people who facilitates the solution topic so that once we get in office, we're ready to roll. And I'm connected with the people to make it happen. So that's the energy side. Federal bank, we've had federal bank acts of the federal government, all the way going back before that, constitutional money, which is basically gold and silver. And I got you on that. I think it's, I want to say Article 10, Section 2, but don't quote me on it, but you probably could. So it's not within my wheelhouse as governor of Washington State, but I think the greater discussion will be financial security for Washington State in lieu of the fact that our dollar is being devalued currently in terms of digital currency. And now I won't bore you guys. The dollar, the United States dollar, is our economic security globally. It's economics 400 at a higher level. If that continues to be compromised, it has a cause and effect on our state. So the weaker our state economy, in light of a compromised dollar at a global economic level, we are very vulnerable in Washington State. The stronger the Washington State economy, the more resilience we have as a state. The reason I'm going down this little rabbit hole, and I'm going to stop here because I can go further and dig another hole. I got what I got. Is because our economic development plans must give us resiliency to strengthen our economy so that something happens at a federal level that Washington State does not get flushed. And let me just say, what is happening right now where we continue to tax our citizens, taxing citizens on a fixed income, our senior citizens, you're at right here. They cannot pay any more money. You're taxing people on a fixed income to where they can no longer survive in our state. Besides being wrong, that is going to have an adverse effect. Our builders, so you understand affordable housing, energy codes, they've raised the energy code requirement so high, it has doubled the cost of building homes and apartment units in Washington State. Are you still with me on that? That cost is being passed down to the consumers. This is why we have an affordable housing problem in Washington State. Cause and effect. The fact that young people can't afford an apartment in Washington State is a problem. This is our workforce that we're messing with. Cause and effect. I call this a correlation. It's a concept, but it's Dr. Ishikawa's theory of cause and effect. It all ties in. I'm going to strengthen our economy by protecting our seniors, by protecting our veterans and our disabled on fixed incomes. We are protecting our economy and the future of Washington State. I can go down that rabbit hole. I want to. I really do. But for your time, I don't want to do that. I mean, I do, but I don't. You guys get me. So, sir, I'm with you. I understand the federal banking system. I understand digital currency. I understand the global threat. I'm with you, and I'm tracking our interest rates and what's happening every day for personal and professional reasons. Yes, yes, ma'am.
I wanted to find out from you. You have stated several times that you want to audit all the government.
Yes.
With a third party outside.
Yes.
Years ago, Senator Benton asked each department to get detailed information, financial statements, balance sheets, things like that. And they basically told him that they were not going to give it to him because it was too complicated for a senator to understand. So I'm wanting to know, what kind of power does the governor have to force these departments to comply with a third-party audit?
Wow. So, no, this is good. So the question is, Senator Don Benton, I believe from the third district of Washington State, congressional district, but he was a senator. So Clark County, Lewis County, Cowlitz, down there, right? Senator Benton asked the legislature, state agencies to give him reports on their spending and budget, etc. They refused to reciprocate his request based on it was too complicated. I'm going to add the word convoluted for him to understand. What powers does the governor have to make that happen? I would say under the revised Code of Washington 43.06.10, you can just look it up. It's the upper subsections. Also under the Article 3 of the Washington State Constitution specifically states that the governor has the authority to request information from any agency within the Washington State government. Any agency. That is county, that is city, and that sure as the heck is state. So I have constitutional and state authority to request that information from any level of government of this state, municipal, county, and state, very specifically. Oh, I'm ready. I don't make a plan without, I'm ready to roll. And I would love to have someone come to me and say, I don't think you'd understand the complexity of the, they may find themselves fired no. Well, anyway. No. Sorry, I get silly and snarky when I'm dehydrated. I'm kidding, I'm not. Honey, I'm good. Thank you for that question. That was a good question. Any other questions? This is good. Guys, I'm going to end here. All I could say is we need change in Washington. I'm not giving lip service. I'm just simply bringing hope that we now have someone who's willing to serve, someone who understands it's a position of service, someone who understands who they work for once elected to the office. Tuesday, 2 days, is the primary election. We need you to go out and tell everyone you know, if you believe in our mission, to please vote Byrd for governor. Please, because this is the change Washington needs. Self-governance. That is the people running our state, running our government, because that's what it's supposed to be. I work for you. You run this show. You're the board of directors. I'm the chief executive officer of the state. But please, board of directors, ensure your power, once again, Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution. Power is inherent in the people. Government derives their just powers from the consent of the governed. It is government's job to protect and to maintain the individual rights of citizens. You have to do your job so I can do my job. I cannot do anything unless you put me into office so I can serve you. With that being said, thank you for being here today. Thank you for exercising self-governance, and thank you for taking a step towards excellence and saving Washington. God bless you, and thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm honored to be here with you. Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. You're amazing.
Let's hear it for Sunny Bird!
Thank you, Victoria. You guys are great. This is awesome.
Wow, you guys. All right, I want everyone to vote. Vote for Sunny. I've got a list of candidates.